Prior to building the Daryl Dixon motorcycle, I had no experience working on motorcycles at all. In fact, I didn't even know how to change the oil in my Harley Davidson. So I wanted to try something that I could learn on, but also not really mess up, but be pretty cool looking, but also ugly at the same time. So after doing a lot of research, I came across the Daryl Dixon motorcycle, and being a big fan of The Walking Dead, I thought I'd give it a shot. In follow-up videos, I'll try to show you some of the little things that you can't find anywhere else. But in the meantime, the 15 minutes I've got, let me show you what I did. Because I wanted to start from scratch, I decided to go without a donor motorcycle, which would have made things a lot faster. So I downloaded the user manual from the internet and began the installation.
So this tank is difficult because it doesn't quite, they say modified, but nobody actually says how it's modified. So I got this XS650. I'm thinking, because of the way the mounts are going to go inside here, I'm definitely going to have to trim these guys back so this thing slides down.
So the tank came from MikeXS.net. As you can see, it came with paint on it, and so I had to use aircraft stripper to remove the paint, which took about 20 minutes or so. Then had to look for a couple of spots to put some dings to match up the one from the show. When you do order the tank from MikeXS.net, make sure you remember that you'll need to get a couple of petcocks to go with it, one for each side. Using white vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, and salt, I rusted the tank. This did not take very long, and I did do it a couple of times. I probably could have gotten away with one time and it would have been a tad lighter. For the clear coat, use the USC Spray Max. Since I hope to do something like this again in the future, I went ahead and got myself a high quality welder, and the only setting I needed to use was MIG for the hoop and the channels, and pretty much anything else on the motorcycle. So I cut off the pins that held the tank on to the CB750 and found some channels on the XS650.com forum, and then welded the crap out of those to get those things on this tank. When you position the channels, make sure that you have the petcocks on the tank first, because I did not, and the tank ended up being slightly back too far and was hitting the engine, so I ended up having to cut them off and then redo it all to slide it forward.
Okay, here's one of the things that nobody shows you. So the wiring I was able to figure out using the manual, which I found online. Basically, you can get a general idea of how these ignition coils mount on each side of the frame. There's two of them, one here, one there. And the manual will show you how to hook up. This is number 1, plug, 2, and then 3 and 4. And you should have a number right on the actual plugs. This part of the wiring harness is the front, which would be the controllers. And you can see my rectifier here. And then I ran it and tied it. And then this guy goes to the stator. And this part here goes to the alternator. And then basically the rest of it hooks up over to the starter. And the rest of this is going to sit underneath the battery, back to the lights. Now what I need to do is you need to cut the back end of this thing off, and then create a cap over the end. So basically you need to try to cut this thing as close to here as possible. Okay, there we go, wrapped up. We just gotta make the end pieces. Okay, there we go. Didn't exactly go right on, but we are mounted, and should be all set. Now what I'm going to do is make the back end of here of the baffle match up. What I came up with for that was, I believe, that using the piece that I cut off, these back end pieces here, I can cut about a 3 or 4 inch section of that off, and that should slide right over it. Then I can make my grid piece to cover the baffle side. All right, as you can see here, I took some pieces of flat metal and welded those together to make the front grill piece. So I got hold of some mesh steel in this case, and then cut the mesh steel to the different sizes that fit in the front of the bike that looked pretty realistic, and then made my cage around it with some mesh with the flat steel, and then took another piece along the top there, and then tack welded all those into place. And then on the front side, found some washers that were pretty close to the size. They're not exact, but again, I don't think it really matters. And welded those bad boys to this as well. And then just got finished grinding down my my welds. And then what I need to do is just make a bracket. Make a bracket for the front that fits on the top, or actually the bottom side of the actual lower triple. Okay, so here it is on the bike, or at least mounted on. Got a pretty good fit here. It's one of the things that they don't show you is how to make this guy. And as you can see, I got a piece that I welded sticking out. Got this angle iron piece that I put on, and it actually fit pretty good. Went from the bottom side up to the back side of the grill, and then took a small piece and stuck it out so to be able to take the fender. And then actually had to make this piece, so I had a, instead of using a piece of angle iron, it wasn't long enough, we had to get enough distance for the light to stick out from the grill. So I just had to cut a small piece to butt it up at the corner, the lower right corner there, and then a longer piece sticking out that was long enough for this light to match, to get the distance out. And then added these tabs on the top. To make those, I just took another piece of your flat steel and just rounded off the edges so that it looked like it was pretty good, and then welded that to the back side. So I made this this metal box. I welded this up with my MIG welder. Actually came up pretty good. Spray painted it black and then clear coated it. And then, so what I saw was in the back here, some other folks had mounted a battery box back here, all right? On the actual frame itself, there were already 3 holes right here in the frame where these tubes come together. There's a piece of cake to tap these into 1/4 inch, or you could go metric as well, but 1/4 inch worked out fine. I tapped those, the screws go in fine there. And this battery box in, I matched up some exact holes here. This guy is going to end up mounting right here. Battery's in there, mounts it onto the frame. Actually, and it feels pretty solid. So actually, we'll just keep our eye on that. I got my Shirai battery in there. I'm going to drill a couple holes here and strap this guy down, and then we'll start hooking our wiring up. Okay, so we just got a nice box in from Steel Dragon Performance. Here's the card. It's gonna be a nice little plug for them. And what they sent me was a couple of custom-made air cleaners. As you can see, these look very, very cool. Dead ringers for the Daryl Dixon bike, with the one exception of the back side. The actual intake is different, but you know what? I actually like these. They feel sturdy. They look good. And yeah, so I'm gonna run with these. I can always switch this plate out if I really want to. Just, if you look at this real close, it's just one piece. So. Got the brakes hooked up now. So looking at some videos online, I got some nice stainless steel brake lines, and back was easy enough. The front, of course, hydraulic. It took a little bit longer, but so one of the things that I found here, so the RX brake lever that I bought had a master cylinder that fits on the actual handlebars of the R6, which is lower, so that's why I had to get some extended stainless steel brake lines. But the problem is this little guy right here that normally fits on the actual lower handlebars of the R6. So in order to get this guy to prop up, what I did was I came up with a basically like a thumb screw, and took a grinder to it, grinded it down flat so it fit inside this bar, right? So drilled a hole in it and made that part of the deal, and then that gives me the ability of screwing or threading on a couple of nuts to hold it in place. Not quite an exact match versus what they've got on the actual Walking Dead bike. That one actually, this master cylinder sits right up on top of this. But I may come back to that later and see if I can just you know, get a new one of these and adjust it on there. But in the meantime, this should work. We're about 90% done at this point. I got the seat mounted. Got the battery strapped down for now. Drilled a couple holes there. Mount the seat. I had to start the crossbow mount in order to be able to mount that seat in here. So, and I had to make these pieces myself, the actual extensions here, just because I wanted them to be pretty solid as far as thickness goes, to be able to handle the weight of the crossbow and not bounce around later. So, yep, drilled a couple holes in the side there, right here at the frame, and then attach the brackets. So this bracket piece is attached to the frame here, and then the seat itself, the way the seat mounts, you can see it attaches to the bracket. And front brakes are hooked up, back brakes are hooked up. I checked the gears. I put the foot pegs on. I mounted the baffles. So this look okay. Gotta do the cosmetic stuff next, but meanwhile, I think I'm gonna take it for a spin, and if everything goes well, then we're gonna take it to get dyno tuned. So one of my favorite pieces that I just made, I'm very proud of this, was the rock guard on the front headlight on the Walking Dead bike. I cannot find anywhere on the internet. I'm sure maybe somebody's going to post afterwards that they found it. So anyway, so I said, you know what, instead of me spending all the time looking for this thing and waiting on it, ordering it, I can make one of these. So I got some rod from Home Depot, and this is, you see that type, I got about 3 foot worth of this basically round steel rod, and then I measured them out, 15 millimeters, cut 3, then bent the ends on my vise. And then to clamp them on, I was looking around in my garage and I found these rubber coated clamps that I happened to pick up at some point. I think I was thinking I was going to use them as like battery terminals or something. Anyway, so I straightened those out and cut the tips off, and then basically I was able to weld those on right onto the ends of these, and then I reused the rubber around each of the clamps. And this is actually pretty cool, so check this out. So I'm come over here and fasten that guy on, and check that out. Came out great. So now I just got to spray paint this black, and then I'm going to tap some screws in to tie it down to the existing headlight.
At the end of the day, this was a really fun project, and I'm so glad I took this thing on. So if you're looking at doing the Daryl Dixon motorcycle, I definitely encourage it. The beauty is, again, as I said at the beginning, you can't really mess it up. The uglier it is, the better it is, and there's so much you could learn from doing this motorcycle. I definitely will post more specifics on how to make the crossbow mount and a lot of other parts in some upcoming shorter videos. Thanks a lot.